Paddles keep us from going adrift, and no one wants to be up the creek without one. Paddles have been around so long that who invented it or when isn't really known, but there's no question that paddles have evolved. Made with sophisticated craftsmanship, today's wooden paddles really go the nautical mile. With paddles like these, you can really go far. Talk about upstream mobility. These days, paddles are often a blend of hard and soft woods for a result that's strong yet lightweight. They feed the boards to a multi-bladed ripsaw that slices them into uniform strips. Each strip has a flat, smooth joint on the side. They roll glue onto those flat joints and then press the strips together. These glued sections will be used to make paddle blades. Over at another station, they're working on the paddle shafts, 2 at a time. They glue shorter pieces of wood for the handles and clamp them together to allow the glue to set. They arrange the blade chunks in a much bigger clamp. Then they wedge the glue-coated ends of some shafts between the blade pieces. In a process called lamination, the blades are bonded to the shafts. The laminated paddle shapes are called blanks. They pencil the blade design onto one of the blanks, and they cut out the design with a bandsaw. Laminated wood doesn't warp easily, which means the paddle blade can be made wider to give more power to the user. But paddles cut from a single piece of wood have a more traditional look and feel and are favored by some. They cut this narrower paddle from a piece of cherry. Modern tools make quick work of a design that hasn't changed very much over the centuries. In no time, they have a basic paddle carved from a single piece of wood. They round it off with a large router. It shapes and contours the paddle to its final dimensions and gives it a smooth finish. In just minutes, that chunky-looking paddle is transformed. Meanwhile, back in the laminated paddle department, a saw cuts slots in the tips of each one. They mix up a liquid plastic concoction, then pour it into the slots where it hardens. The plastic gives the paddle tips some extra protection against rocks and other obstacles in the water. Now it's time to improve the profile of the laminated paddles. With the same type of router used to shape the solid paddles, they fine-tune the design. Both types of paddles then get a heavy sanding. They taper each one so it's much thinner at the tip. They brand the trademark information onto each paddle using a hot iron. Then it's time for the paddles to take a dip in a tank of varnish that contains a sunblock. The varnish both protects the wood and enhances its natural beauty. They suspend the paddles on an overhead conveyor, and soon they'll be on their way to a waterway near you, where they'll be sure to leave ripples of approval in their wake.